Sean, hi.
Hi, good afternoon, Eddie. How are you?
I am okay. I'm running along. I'm in my last week. I feel kind of, I'm very pleased I'm in my last week because I don't know if you've ever done one of these before, but they're not fun. It's not really fun. The finishing is great, but it's kind of grinding and being on a treadmill and not seeing anything. That's an odd thing. But the great thing is I can talk to people, which I never have been able to do before. So I do a 6.5-hour podcast basically every day. And, that's good. But this is my last Tuesday, and yesterday was my last Monday, and the next Monday, in 6 days' time, at this time of day, I will be having brunch. I'll be having a long breakfast lunch, resting on the Monday, the 1st of February, just doing nothing.
And not that you're counting the days down at all.
No, you have to. I think you have to. I mean, you were infantryman for 12 years. There must have been. I know you went through a heavy time, and you've diagnosed with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, for people who don't know that. And but there must have been things in the forces where you focus on a certain thing to get you through a thing. Would that be true?
Yeah, indeed. So, I mean, one of the examples would be, well, you know, to tie in with what you're doing, we used to have to do battle marches, like tabs, we call them. So some of those, 12 miles, you've got £50, £55 of kit on your back. You just got to switch your head off, go somewhere else, and just keep the body moving.
Yeah.
It's a necessity of the environment we're in and the job we're doing. So. But yeah, you don't want to be there sometimes.
No, it's but I'm not carrying anything. If I carried something, though, I did do 3 marathons though, where I did carry my pack, everything I had in, well, as little as I had to, wash and get ready for the next day in a pack. So I did that for 2.5 marathons. And I stopped the 3rd marathon for a particular reason. I was supposed to be meeting people at the end of the 3rd marathon, and then I found that they actually lived halfway through the 3rd marathon, and it was snowing, it was cold, and the road I was going to run down didn't look like it was going to be terribly exciting. No, not great, petrol stations you could stop off in the snow and you could have a coffee or so. So I thought, I'll just do 2.5. I know I can do this. I've got this. So that was my excuse, which obviously doesn't work if you're in the forces, to say, can I just not do 12? 10 miles seems good to me today. Obviously, that's not allowed. But, so yes, tell us your story. So what age did you go into the infantry?
So for me, I mean, I was actually born in Aldershot. So Aldershot at that time was the home of the British Army. It was known as.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was in the 80s. I lived in the 80s there, and I saw the guys go down to the Falklands. And I was a cadet at the time. So for me, it was it seemed like a natural progression. I watched the guys go, I watched them come back. I actually volunteered myself. I went down in my cadet uniform to try and to go and join in, but I was politely asked to go away. Come back when I was a bit older. So it was it's one of those progressive things. I just always wanted to do it. I love the physical and the mental challenge of it. A lot of people think you're an infantryman, you're not very clever. I've heard all those sort of kind of comments, but there's so many aspects of the role. I mean, I also trained as a medic.
All right.
Which was something I grew up with. My father was in the ambulance service as well, so it's kind of something in me. Unfortunately, I got a little bit more practical experience than I cared for, particularly on my last tour.
Right.
But very glad for that. Hopefully made a difference to a lot of people, both locals and colleagues.
Yeah, no, I just think it must be amazing to be able to help in very tough situations like that. So just a quick.
Very much. Sorry.
No, you carry on.
I was going to say. I mean, it was just little things. We did little med clinics in the villages around us. A lot of things like that. I mean, they don't have the health system and the support like we do in this country and a lot of Western countries. So the mere fact that I could clean a wound and dress it, that's potentially saving blood poisoning or loss of a limb, and little things like that. So I mean, they would get help from the local butcher actually. He would buy medication from different countries and then try and match what it said on the box to whatever ailments you might have.
Right.
Which is a bit crazy, and this would cost them a lot of money as well, $5 to $10. But to us, that's it's a drop in the ocean. But to them, that could be a week or a month's wages. So a lot of times they just didn't bother. So for me to be able to do that, because I was in a mentoring role, OMLTs they call them.
Right.
So we were working and living with Afghan soldiers. So I got much more integration with local villages and the locals, which I found really interesting. And it dispels a lot of the myths that some of the media have about as well. So that's very cool.
Yes, no, I think it would be. You may know this, but I wanted to be in the forces when I was a kid. I didn't go, and I haven't been, but I was a cadet. But it's...
Can I ask, was that Army, Navy or Air Force?
Well, this is my serious plan. I had officer cadetship papers. I'd sent off for those. So I was going to do the 3 years at university, get paid for it as a second lieutenant, and I was kind of fascinated. Well, not fascinated is quite the right word. I sort of wanted to get money, I wanted to earn something because I hadn't had any money, just your parents or pocket money or whatever. So I liked that idea, and then I kind of thought in a kind of military way, very strategic. And so the plan was Marines or paras to try it for, and then try and get into Special Forces. That was the serious plan. And of course I didn't do any of that because I kind of wanted to go and fight World War II. It was a very clear war with very obvious bad, the Nazis were just so twisted and evil that, and every other war since then has been much more complicated, much more tricky. And I didn't know who was going to be sending me. I went to a boarding school, so I thought a lot of these guys were going to end up in a government, and then they might end up in a government that might send me off to a war that I didn't want to go to. And you can't do that in the forces, you just have to go. So I realized I couldn't be standing there saying, can I not go to this one? Can I go to the one after that? Again, this thing of individualism that I was also developing at the same time wasn't quite squaring. And then there's all the creative stuff I wanted to do. So what I have done is been quite strategic in how I drove my career, which didn't work for 11 years. And since it has worked, I have been quite careful. I plan about 50 years ahead, but I'm ready to change in 24 hours notice. That's my plan. So I have a very long view of where I'm going. But if something comes in and say 24 hours, we've got to change this, I will change it. That's the crazy thing I do. Which includes doing this, planning for this, because our team leader, excuse me, Kevin Carhill, make humanity great, and he used to run sport relief and comic relief, and he suddenly realized back in June, when everything was just loosening up, he said, look guys, this is going to get worse. Everyone says it's going to be another hit, and this is before we'd heard of the second wave. He says, I think there's going to be one. And they say it happens in the cold and not in the heat. And so if you want to run again, because I wanted to run again, he says, you've got to do it on a treadmill inside a building. So we've been planning this since then. We all saw the wisdom of it. And we realized that we can interact with people like yourself and anyone around the world, any country in the world. I've been doing my gigs. You may have heard I'm doing a stand-up gig at the end of each one, which is bonkers. But it raises the bar, helps raise some money, and people from over 50 countries have bought tickets, which is wonderful. And the money helps in the UK and around the world. So let's tell you, the great thing about you did 12 years, so thank you for being in the forces for 12 years. It's a very dangerous occupation for us, for our country. But doing that, and had a very traumatic time in the last tour, and you've come out of that, and walking with the wounded has helped you, and then you started volunteering. I'd like to hear about that journey, because that's fascinating.
So for me, I had physical and psychological problems, injuries. So I kind of sulked for quite a while until I got they noticed there was something wrong. Started getting help, good, bad, and indifferent. I eventually was signposted to a charity that third sector veterans charity that I then started working for after they helped me. And interestingly, I had no real engagement with Walking with the Wounded. I just used to signpost boys and girls that were coming through the program with us as their next stage, but they're getting their heads back in the game.
Yeah.
And the good thing with the Walking with the Wounded, they do the employability sort of side of things as well. So I used to say, right, these guys are brilliant. I had a very good working relationship with the local representative. I used to fire them out to them. And it's now kind of come full circle because I'm now engaged with that individual, Tony, and he's been an absolute legend supporting me. It's kind of strange, as I say, because the shoe is on the other foot now, and but we've got a very good relationship. He knows me, so he's looking at courses and things like that for me.
Right.
He's actually the person that put me forward for the Walk of Oman.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it, but he knew me from old, and he said, "Sean, I know you like doing stupid, daft, weird things, so I put your name forward for this." I'm like, "Okay, what is it?" "Oh, I don't know much about it. They'll speak to you and let you know." And then, so I was kind of voluntold, as opposed to volunteered, and it just came out. And it's grown from there, and the support I've had from them, it's been phenomenal. It's, as I say, it's quite strange being on the other side of it, having been the person in the role where I've been supporting and helping other veterans, family members, etc.
Yeah.
To now to being the one who's receiving it. It's quite humbling. I'll be honest.
Yes.
As it is with the sponsors as well. We've had some phenomenal sponsorship, and it was a job. The army's a job. You just get on with doing it. You don't really know or understand if people appreciate what you do or not, and in some cases they do, some they don't. But when you get organisations that step forward and say, "Here you go, guys, big bag of shiny things. I know they will help you on what you're doing. Here you go," and it's like, wow. Mind blowing.
No, it's good. There's some great individuals and great companies out there. And probably the people running the companies is what happens. And some people realise you should try and get somewhere. If you're okay in yourself, can you put something back? Some other companies, some other individuals don't want to do that, and they just want to do, I suppose, the piling up of cash is what they're about, which is not so good. But yes. Well,
there's only so much you can spend, isn't there?
I know, and you can't take it with you. You can't take it with you.
No pockets in shrouds, my mum always says. So
I know this big pile of money to lie on when you're dead. So I don't know what that's about, but I don't suppose they're thinking that way. Now tell everyone about the Walk of Oman, because you may know I was born in Yemen, the country just across from Oman. I'd quite like it. Do you walk down to the sea? Is it, where do you start and where do you finish?
So we obviously had plans in place, but they've been changed a little bit, different reasons. We're working closely with the Omani authorities, and they've been absolutely superb in their support. At this time, it's more of a sort of inland a bit, walk through the desert a bit, visit a few villages. There's some areas that we can't go to for different reasons, but we are going to be touching into the empty quarter, they call it, which apparently is one of those areas that even the Omanis don't go to. They do look at us somewhat amused when we talk about walking through the desert, and they say, "What? Even we don't go there." But why not? Very few of the people have been there. I'm hoping personally to meet and engage with as many sort of people as possible. I really enjoy that side of it. As I said before, I had quite a lot of face-to-face engagement with Afghans, and learning about the culture and the different way people live. And I'm very much looking forward to that part of it. If we get that opportunity. I love all that side of things.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I would too, and I did when I went back to Yemen in 2008. So if when you get down there, when you get the closest part to Yemen, just could you give them away from me? They're having a rotten time there. They've got COVID and, as you probably know, a proxy civil war happening at the same time, which is not bloody helpful. Yeah. But yeah, I'm trying to do what I can, but you feel so useless. What can you do when it's an entire country? Hey ho.
I think, yeah, I mean, it's just talking to people, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I've done, once I got my head back on my shoulders, facing the right way, I did quite a few talks and presentations to people about Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Because it's unfortunately a lot of stuff is very media driven, as you're probably fully aware.
Yeah.
And most of it, or a large percent of it, is not really what's going on. You know, when you actually talk about people, and you talk about the CIMIC taskings we used to do, the civil and military tasks, where we would put wells in, you know, rebuild schools, all this kind of stuff. And I try to sort of expand the people's view, and I think that's the only thing we can do. You know, just sort of get people to understand and have a little bit more of a wider view of what's going on in that, you know, that country, and you know, and the people. People are people wherever you go in the world. You know, I've experienced it, you know, numerous times, albeit some of them there not happy for you to be there, as it was with my, you know, the guys, my soldiers, the warriors they call them. We were not really big fans of the fact we were in the country, but they understood, and we engaged with them. I was very lucky with my team. There were some very switched on guys there, and you tell them about the outside world as well, because they have the exact same thing in reverse, you know, the propaganda sort of view of what the West is.
Yeah.
So, and it's about that people are people, aren't they? You know.
That's exactly right. It's we're all. If you cut us, do we not bleed? As Shakespeare said, and everyone, no matter what their skin color, no matter where they're from, whatever their beliefs are, we all bleed when we're cut. And
all the same color as well.
All the same color. It's all red blood, and we are the same thing. And everyone just wants to. Well, this is the thing. I'm fighting for everyone should have a fair chance in life. This is my worldview. A fair chance in life should be the right of every person in the world, and I think that's not too much to ask for, and a good thing to fight for. I think, you know.
Yeah, very much.
You're trying to distill everything in the world and what you're trying to fight for. Just think, yeah, fair chance, not a free chance, not be paid for by the government, but just a fair chance to have equal access to things, to be able to go to school, have a job, have a family. That's all people want, really. And a bit of downtime so they can relax, and then a pension at the end. You know, it's not that complicated, but we seem to make it complicated. Maybe it's one or two people who come along, individual leaders who spin things in a Trump-like way. Let's not go into that, but yeah, I'm not wild about him. But he's gone now. Anyway. Now, very good. I'm going to let you go now. Thank you so much for talking to Sean. When you do the Walk of Oman, hope you have a great time. I, like you, I want to do the Marathon des Sables, the Marathon of the Deserts, because I don't really want to do it right now, but I think in my head, I think I got to do it because I was born in a desert country of Yemen and the city of Aden. So I think I should, but you'll be out there in the desert. So take care when COVID's all gone. Stay safe now, and well done for your fight, for fighting your fight. The fight that since you've come through and going through PTSD, and that struggle, keep going with that, and well done to you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate what you're doing as well. It's slightly mad, I've got to be honest with you, but it's greatly appreciated, and the awareness you're raising as well. It means a lot to a lot of people. You know, it's really impressive.
It's bonkers, Sean, but it's good bonkers. There's good bonkers and bad bonkers.
Yes, yeah, can't argue that. Yeah.
So this is Walking with the Wounded, and Sean is a volunteer, and also it's being helped by Walking with the Wounded. So please do donate to Eddie Izzard.com. Forgetting my name now. EddieIzzard.com. That's where you can go all around the world. Takes any credit card, and you can help us raise the money to help with people like Sean. Thanks, Sean.
Appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Stay safe. Stay well.
You too, and stay safe as well. Thanks.